Hey guys, Andrew Marsh here with DrewFit.com. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. In today's video, I'm going to give you my opinion on the #1 supplement on Earth, and it's actually not on Earth, it is the light that shines on us known as the sun. Now, two things before I begin. Number one, I'm doing this shirtless because the sun is out right now and it's shining through the window, and any opportunity I have to get the sun, I'm going to take that. And number two, I just want to give you guys my perspective as to why I say this is the #1 supplement. And it's sad to say it's a supplement because it should be a way of life every single day. So think of this. We are the only species on this planet that live under artificial light. We put on clothes, we put on shoes, the sun's in our eyes, we have sunglasses for that. We go out to the pool or the beach and we have sunscreen for that as well. So every opportunity we get, we are blocking ourselves from the sun and we're living under artificial light. And we're the only species on this planet that does it, and we're the only species I know that has an epidemic of illness and disease. Unless you want to talk about your house pets that may have come down to something, but they unwillingly lived in this environment. So with that being said, let me just jump right into it. So if you know anything about the skin on a human, we have a thing called melanin, which is a pigment of the skin that actually absorbs UV rays from the sun. And when we absorb those rays from the sun, we actually are creating hormone-like compounds in the liver. So that right there just makes me say, if the sun's doing this, what else is it doing to the body? So let me get into that. But let me first talk about an article I came across on bigthink.com, and it stated that skin cancer rates were higher the further people got away from the equator. So people on the equator, cancer rates were lower as compared if you're living at a northern or southern latitude. Now, if you know anything about the sun and earth and the equator, you will know that on the equator, the sun is more consistent year-round. They're getting a lot more sun exposure as compared to if you're living northern or southern latitudes. Your sun exposure is very, very inconsistent, and it's not shining like it is on the equator, and I can guarantee you that. So that right there should pose another question as to how powerful and magical the sun really is as compared to the beliefs we have bestowed upon us from the powers that be that say that it causes skin cancer. In my opinion, I don't agree with it, but I want you to do your research on the topic as well, and hopefully I can help change your mind. Now, if you know anything about the sun, which a lot of people do know, that it increases your vitamin D levels within your body, and if you know anything about vitamin D, it plays a major role in impacting certain hormones within the body. And I've actually read a study, I forget where, don't mark my words on this, but it stated that it impacted around 1,000 hormones within the body, which is just mind-blowing to me. And I know a lot of people are on vitamin D3 supplementation, which means that their health practitioner had good intentions, but they really didn't get them out in the sun. They put you on a product because I think they have an agenda to pay for, but that's neither here nor there. But if you're on D3 and you're noticing that your D3 levels aren't going up, I believe that it's because you have poor mitochondria functioning, that these, however many IU that you're taking, some people take up to 10,000 to 20,000 IU a day and they're not seeing changes. And I think that's because you have poor mitochondria functioning, because the mitochondria is responsible not only for being the energy powerhouse of the cell, but making sure that your cells are hydrating by producing its own water. So when it's not producing its own water and you're dehydrated, you aren't synthesizing the D3 the way it should be. So that to me is saying, I think you should get out in the sun because, like I said, the skin has melanin that your body can absorb the sun rays, making it a lot easier than supplementing with an artificial ingredient. And you also have receptor sites in your eyes. So that's another thing to think about. I want you guys to really take into consideration. If you're on a D3 supplement and you're not seeing results, get out in the sun. It's much easier and cheaper. A few things to note about getting into the sun, what you want to do. Ditch your sunglasses, even prescription glasses and contact lenses. And I myself, I wear contact lenses and I'm not happy about it, but they do block the rays from the sun, and I do not like that. So any chance I personally get, I try to walk around my neighborhood with no contact lenses in and let the sun hit my eyes. Another thing, sunscreen. In my opinion, ditch it. Like I said, you're just not absorbing the sun like you should. Clothing, that's apparent, that's blocking the sun. Shoes. Now you're thinking, shoes, it's just sun on the feet. But the reason I say shoes is because the earth, if you know anything about grounding, when you're kicking your shoes off and you're barefoot, you are absorbing Earth's free electrons. And when you are absorbing Earth's free electrons, that means you get to absorb a lot more of the sun's rays. So another thing to think about and to take in consideration. So how to use the sun. Number one, you want to gradually increase your exposure. I don't want you to just go jump out there for a few hours if you aren't used to it, because you are going to get burnt and that may cause issues further down the road. So like I said, gradually increase, maybe start off with 15 minutes or 20 minutes, jump up 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. Go based on how you're feeling. If you have darker skin, you're definitely more tolerant to the sun, so you can stay out there longer. Number two, go naked if possible. If you ever go on a walk into the wilderness, or if you see any animal ever, do you see them wearing clothes willingly, other than clothes that you pick out for your animal, your dog or your cat? You do not. And there are profound effects on getting the sun on your private parts and on your behind. So another thing to think about and look into. Number three, getting AM sunlight in the morning, because UV and IR, ultraviolet and IR, are most abundant in the morning. And when you're getting that sun exposure, you are increasing melatonin. And if you know anything about melatonin, that is the sleep hormone. So you're going to get a much better night's sleep. And if you know anything about the human body, you'll know that it has a biological clock known as the circadian rhythm. So getting good sleep, getting adequate amounts of melatonin, and I'm not saying artificial, I don't want you popping pills. You can go out into the sun in the morning and get it for free just by gazing around the sun. And that's what I do. Every morning I wake up around sunrise, so it's August. I get out in the sun around 6:15 in the morning. I get in the grass, I take my shoes off, I'm shirtless. I sit in the grass and have all four extremities grounded to the earth, and I gaze around the sun. And I want to be very clear, I do not stare directly into the sun. I gaze around it, I close my eyelids, and I let the sun absorb that way. I do not look directly because I don't want to cause damage to my eye. So take that into consideration. So AM sunlight, huge. And you can do that up until about, I believe, 11 a.m. is when UV and IR is at its strongest point. Number four, if you have darker skin or if you are older, you need to be out in the sun more so than somebody who is lighter skin or younger. Simply because if you're old, you have depleted, there's a good chance in today's society, unless you grew up working outside, that your vitamin D is depleted big time. And if you have darker skin, what that means is that your ancestors grew up around the equator and their body required lots of sun. So I got news for you. If you're darker skinned and you're living at a northern latitude, in my opinion, you just increased your chances of illness and disease, especially in today's non-native EMF life that we're living in. Artificial blue light and cell phone towers really destroys the topology. So if you're living on a northern or southern latitude, you may not be getting the sun exposure that you need simply because your topology is ruined and you can't absorb it. So I'm going to save that for another talk. I can really get into a lot on the sun. I'm going to try and keep this one short, but I might create this a mini-series. But let me get right back to that. For exposure for everybody, I recommend at least 1 hour a day. If you can do more, that's great, but at least 1 hour for everybody. And like I said, work up to an hour and see how you feel, gauge how you feel. I bet you start feeling better, especially when you get into the morning sunlight. So I didn't list any of the benefits, but some of the benefits that you're going to see, if you have increased vitamin D, you're really lowering your chances at getting an illness or disease. But me personally, the benefits I've noticed: better quality sleep, much more energy, I'm stronger in the gym, recovery is a lot faster, I have an enhanced mood. I know I was going through some mental stuff in previous years, and I think that's a lot because I was so exposed to artificial blue light all day long. I had a Bluetooth connected to my head, I worked on the 10th floor, so I was setting myself up for failure, and it really messed with me mentally. So some of the benefits mentally are huge. I know people that they cure their depression, and I'm not claiming this, but they said that their depression went away when they started getting more sun exposure, and they just noticed an enhanced mood, better brain cognitive function, your heart health is going to get better, your eye health could actually get better as well. What I've noticed, the longer I go without my prescription glasses, which is pretty hard since I have to be around the city quite a bit all day, but on days where I don't need contact lenses or glasses, I notice my eyesight starts to come back the more I'm out in the sun. So that just tells you how amazing this is. But I want you guys to get out there and let me know what you guys are experiencing with getting more sun exposure. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to drop them below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And remember guys, get in the sun today. So thank you for watching.